little bit of a hidden spot we've got here today. Hiking in was pretty exciting. Got to see a wild turkey, actually a nest just a few feet off of the trail. Tried to get it on camera, it didn't quite work, but I think it's gone back to its nest now. We heard some rustling a little while ago. But yeah, we're kind of in the middle of a marsh. The idea of this spot is to be a well-hidden spot where we can set up, do overnighters if need be, or if we were to choose to, but just a way to access water we can't normally reach from the standard spots. Like you can probably hear there's a road close by, and when we fish from the road in the normal spot, we catch. In fact, I think it was Wednesday night, so just a few days ago, Kevin and I were down here. We wanted to try it. We were fishing from the normal spot from the road, and I managed a couple of really small fish, and he managed a 30-pound, 1-ounce monster. So it was quite exciting. And we've known the fish were here for years. I used to fish here as a teenager, but I've neglected it. Other than panfish, I've really not had a reason to come over here. But that kind of stirred up some new excitement in this spot again. And Kevin even came back a day or two later and had a 20-pounder while he was fishing with his daughter. So it was very exciting, and the quality of fish is still here, just as it was back when I was younger. But what we've done is we've followed an old deer trail through the marsh to where we saw all the big fish and the most active fish jumping. So we're pretty much set up on that spot. We just kind of flattened some reeds down, made a little bit wider trail on the deer trail that goes over to the water. So, we really didn't do anything harmful to the marsh. We've just kind of made this small space where we can set up. All the green shoots are still coming up like normal. We just laid it down. We didn't actually hack at anything. But it's kind of a really nice secluded spot. And really, you can only see any kind of civilization when we're at the rods, which are about 25 feet away. So, yeah, like even sitting back here, it's just so peaceful. Even though we're so close to, the road, a busy group of houses, it's just our own little piece of magical carp fishing space. And we're just really excited. This is the first time we put lines in down here. And I've never fished this far down. I fished the deer trail years ago, closer to the road, but not this far into the marsh. So right now what we're going to do is we're just going to kick back. We've traveled with minimal gear. The weather's not supposed to stay as nice as it's been. We actually had snow yesterday, and we're in the middle of May. So it's anybody's guess what's going to happen. We're not really prepared for any kind of weather. Just a minimal approach, light gear, traveled lightly to get in here. So hopefully things will kick off. We'll get a few fish, and we can call this a success story. I don't want to be getting hit with a downpour and then having to walk all the way home, sopping wet carrying the gear. But we'll see what happens. If we planned everything right, it should go well. Forgot the baiting spoon. I can't put the particles. We'll figure that out. I might have a spom in the bag or something like that. But yeah, in the excitement, I forgot something. Of course, it always happens. But I think we're set up well. I'm fishing with Andrew today. Andrew's going to be fishing the line to the right. I'm going to fish to the left. He's going to help me run the camera, and we're just going to kick back and enjoy some nature. So for now, I think I'm just going to stop stuttering and shut this down for a bit, relax, have my tea, and hope for one of those rods to rip off. Anytime. I don't think it's going to happen yet. No. All right, shut this off. We'll just wait. Stay back from the bank. See if it comes back. Just get down low and we'll just wait a second because that was a good positive beep. Something was there. Good morning. It is still technically morning. Kevin and Hannah and I have been fishing since sunup. We are now on our third location, and this is the location that Andrew and I were fishing in last week. Better conditions, so we're a little bit more optimistic about a bite this time, even though we went to those two other spots today with complete confidence that we would have caught, and the fish just weren't there. Spots that they should have been in. They had pushed completely out or pushed out too far for us to reach, even with our longer gear and our longer range gear. So we've headed back into this hidden little creek spot that we've made, and we have yet to bank a fish here. However, Kevin was here yesterday with one of his daughters and had 2 runs, even though he lost them both. That's still the best activity we've had in this spot yet. So for right now, we've just set up. All 3 of us have a line in, and we're going to kind of get comfortable in the swim before we really put a hard focus on it. But we got a little bit of bait out. But yeah, both runs yesterday came what, midday or late afternoon? Between 1 and 3. So we're going to be getting into that time that he would have had bites yesterday, even though it was hot and it was busy with kayakers and canoeists, because everybody was allowed to go out in their boat as of yesterday. So now that those restrictions have been released, you know, people can be all over the place. Oh, it sounds like Hannah's TikToking again. So while she does typical teenager stuff, Kevin and I are going to get on with fishing, and hopefully something will happen. That feels weird. That must be a small one. Is that it there? Yeah. Don't let him tangle it, that. Okay, where's the hole? I don't want to step in the hole. That's decent. Yeah, I found the hole. Put the slide into it. Got it. First fish.
New swim. Excellent.
Stay there.
Now we need a double header.
There you go, John. First fish in the new swim. It's pretty exciting.
And now it's starting to rain.
Feeling rain?
Yeah.
Might turn on now.
What does it matter? We got a fish.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Tiny mouth on it.
Glad we didn't, yeah. Glad we didn't blank. Made one adjustment. Got it.
Okay, so update time. I think we've been here almost 3.5 hours. I think we're leaving here in an hour. You know, conditions have gotten far better for us. The sun's gone away, it's gotten quite cloudy. Fish are rising more. No consistent pattern, no. I've tried the other side, I've tried in close, tried in the middle. It seems like every time I move to a showing fish show over where I was. So now I'm kind of back where I started, right in the middle. I have a whole bunch of boilies I threw out there. So, you know, here's hoping that I can get one now that Kevin has finally had a fish. I also changed my rig. I went from a very supple German rig to middle. Switched over to a Ronnie with a pop-up on, where I was fishing a bottom bait all morning. But we're definitely getting movement in the middle now. Kevin's just to the right of the spot that I baited earlier. I'm now just to the left of it, and I've put some more boilies in, so he's still getting some activity. Hopefully I can pick one off before we go, because we're all running out of time. And you know, I blanked last weekend. I did have some fish on Wednesday. But I don't want to blank 2 weekends in a row, especially if I'm not sure if I'm going to get out tomorrow. You know, I'm really hopeful that I can, but we're expecting like 40 millimeters of rain, so today might be my only shot this weekend. And I really want to catch in this swim. You know, we put a lot of work into getting it ready and preparing it. We've now done, this would be the fourth session between the two of us actually fishing in it. Now that we've actually had a fish, which is great, we're getting lots of indication, that's great. I want to get one fish, you know, get my part of christening this done, and you know, I'll go home happy. So yeah, I'm fishing confidently, Kevin's fishing confidently. We think we have a chance at another bite. You know, it might go to Hannah's rod, we don't know, she's fishing down the margin a little bit. We'll just have to see. But you know, so far things are going well. I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, looking forward to doing more sessions here in the summer. And if possible, the original plan was to potentially do an overnighter here. So hopefully we'll see more of this swim as the season comes along. Man, I'm just so optimistic right now. I just really want to get that fish in and out of the way, so that, you know, if we do have to leave, I'm not, I don't want to blank today. I really don't.
solo mission today. So I think the way I'm going to be putting these clips together in this video, you would have seen Andrew and I fishing here first. I'm in the Marsh spot, the spot that Kevin and I kind of carved out a few weeks ago. So yeah, I did a session with Andrew, and even though we blanked, we got some bait in. Fish were moving, but we were out in some pretty crappy conditions. The wind was really against us, and yeah, it didn't happen. I've only been fishing in here on the weekends, and during the week, Kevin and I go to another spot not far from here, and we've actually been smashing it up, doing quite well there. I think I touched on that before, but yeah, so a week ago, Andrew and I were here, we blanked. 2 days ago, Kevin and his youngest daughter were here, and they had 2 screaming runs, blanked. Yesterday, you would have seen where Kevin and his older daughter Hannah were here with me, and we put in, I think, about 4.5 hours total. Lots of fish activity, lots of liners were happening, and then Kevin did manage 1 fish, our first fish in this new swim. So that's a pretty good feeling, pretty exciting. But unfortunately, just as the fish were getting really active, we had to leave yesterday. It was raining, we weren't prepared to be out here in the weather, and we had already been out since just before sunrise anyways. I think I'd mentioned yesterday that coming here was our 3rd spot for the day, trying to find a fish. So yeah, I kind of had the intention of fishing today, but I didn't know 100% where I was going to be. I really don't like the idea of being in this marsh spot by myself, but more so in the evening. We use a deer trail to get in here. You know, deer, turkeys, you know, regular wildlife like raccoons and stuff, I'm not worried about. I don't really have an issue with that. But there are packs of coyotes that move through here. So being here in the evening alone when they're going to be getting most active is just not appealing to me. So that's why I left with Kevin and Hannah rather than stick it out for a little while longer. But getting here, you know, I waited till I think 6:30 to leave the house. So I think I got here about 7-ish. And then started my hike into the bush to get in here. You know, waiting past sunrise, getting into a little bit of daylight, and then being here for kind of like a midday session. I'm only going to be here for probably 4 hours, 5 hours tops. Quiet down. They're like right over top of my bait too, honking away. But yeah, I'm only here for a few hours, midday. So I feel much safer and not so much worried about coyotes coming through. You know, if it's just one, I'm not worried. You know, it'll spook off. But a group of coyotes are like a group of people. They can become very dangerous. So I don't want to risk that. So yeah, here for midday, I am alone. But people know where I am. I've made sure of that. I made sure that people know that I'm in this spot, so that if people can't get a hold of me for whatever reason, you know, people will know to come looking in here. So I've taken as many precautions as I can, other than not coming in here. But it's raining. Brought the shelter. You know, even though I completely stripped my gear out this morning, like stripped it down to like literally just what I would need for a few recasts, I was still carrying a lot of gear, especially with this heavy brawly. Geese are chasing something out there. Yeah, it was a heavy trek in, very wet, because it rained all night. Like, it started raining while we were here yesterday, and it's still going. It hasn't stopped. So the pathway out to the rod is pretty swampy. The pathway in here is swampy. Where I'm sitting is not bad. Oh, yeah, those geese are angry. hope they'd stop splashing over my bait. Anyway, I'm rambling, I know. I'm doing a different tactic today than I did yesterday. I'm using the same rig I switched out to yesterday. Man, stop it. It's a Ronnie rig on a stiff boom. So I got a size 4 monster carp tackle hook just on a ring swivel, so making a spinner rig or a Ronnie rig. I've got that attached to the Ridge Monkey stiff coated hook link. I've really been liking the Ridge Monkey products that I've been playing around with lately. It's an RM Tech hook link, stiff coated in camo, and that makes a pretty sick boom. It's actually really, really rigid. So that's what I'm going with. I'm not using pack bait today like I have been. I took the method feeder off and just put a little inline lead, a little Monster Carp 90 gram lead on. And I know that seems heavy for fishing in this little creek, but what we do know is that there are fish over 30 pounds in here. Kevin having had one 2 weeks ago, just a ways down. So we know this creek has big ones. You know, I thought they probably weren't in here. I saw them when I was a kid, but yeah, having now had one recently, I know that I'm sitting in a group where there's some big fish passing through. I'm also using PVA sticks of chops and pellets. I put some loose feed out earlier, but I chopped up some pineapple boilies, some fruit boilies in 14 and 18 and 20 mil. Just did them in halves in the quarter cutter. I mixed in some Shimano Isolate pellets, and there's just a little bit of residual pack bait in there. And over the top of that, I drizzled some of this Codex ectoplasm in canny corn. I drizzled that over the top just lightly and mixed it together, and it coated everything. Like, this is very, very similar to the goo bait smoke. I really like this one though. It really sticks to the bait. So that's what's out there now that I'm set up. It was pouring rain when I got here, so I quickly just slapped all that together and put it out in the rain before I put the shelter up, which maybe I should have took my time, but yeah, I'm still rambling. Okay, I have a line in the water. I've kind of touched on what I'm doing. I'm going to sit back and have my tea and listen to the birds, and hopefully I can actually get a fish here in the morning. Stick around. I don't hear the geese. I think they moved. The rain has been on and off. And luckily, the way I'm set up in this swim, the bulrushes are all laid down, and it keeps me up off the water. But yeah, I just pulled this away a little bit, and I'm definitely in a marsh. It's very swampy in here. It's been a very peaceful hour or so that I've been sitting here, you know, just taking it all in, enjoying the nature. Watching a lot of different birds that I don't normally see. A lot of yellow warblers, and a few others that I can't quite recognize. I don't have my bird books out with me. Saw a couple of northern flickers. So yeah, it's been very, very peaceful. But just a few minutes ago, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go stand out by the rod, watch the water a little bit. I don't want to get too relaxed and then be off my game of trying to get a fish. I thought, you know what, I want to make up a few more PVA sticks, but first I'm going to go take a look at the water, see what's going on. And in the few minutes that I stood out there by the rod, 3 fish rose. and each one successively closer to the bed of bait that I've got out there. So I'm optimistic that at least I know the fish are still here from yesterday. They're still on the bait. I just need to know that my hook bait is what's going to do it. I have a 14 mil pineapple pop-up on, if I haven't mentioned that already. I was considering going down to 12 just for a tiny hook bait option, since I am fishing over particle today and chops and stuff like that. But it's a tough call. 5 or 6 days ago, I was fishing downriver at a more accessible spot, and I had 3 fish on an 18 mil boilie, 2 of which were under 5 pounds. So it's tough to say, you know, do I go with a bigger bait because I've caught with it? Do I go with a smaller bait because I think it might get me a quicker bite? I don't know. I do know that Kevin's fish yesterday came to a double pop-up setup. He had 2 12 mil pop-ups on. It's kind of his go-to, a white and a yellow. So yeah, I'm at the point now where I've seen fish. They're starting to move in around the bait at least. So I don't want to change anything yet. Hopefully I don't push myself to change anything unless I know that for sure that it will make a difference. But yeah, at least things are looking good right now. A couple of liners or some kind of beep or something would be helpful, I think. But for now, I do know that the fish are here, which is a positive sign. And yeah, I guess now I'll give it another 20 minutes, half hour, and if nothing happens, then maybe either I'll put a handful of boilies out, or perhaps just you know, a new PBA stick and a recast slightly right to where I saw the bigger of the rises. We'll see. Still got time. It's still very carpy out, and like I said, at least I know the fish are here. There's also a giant snapping turtle. He popped up just to my left when I was out there, and he's big. Like, he's very, very big. Like, probably 2/3 the size of my unhooking net. So I really don't hope I have to have a tussle with him, because I really don't like snapping turtles. He was a monster. I'm a little bit discombobulated right now. I got a fish. It's in the net and it's a chunk. So I want to get this sling zeroed. There it is. Gotta get it wet first. 0 the sling once I get the fish over here, because I don't know how long it's going to take to get it over here and get the hook out and stuff. Just want to be prepared. Interesting story about what I was doing when that bite came, but we'll go over that shortly. Definitely over 20. That much I know for sure. Up for a second. I'll get the sling zeroed. I can hear my phone going off like crazy in my pocket. I messaged Will with nothing more than the words chunk. So that should set him off. Put your fins down. Oh, that's the wrong strap. There we go. Been a while since I've had a good fish. Definitely looked bigger in the net, and it fought really hard. Fish went 21-1. I don't know if you can see that or not. Huge tail. The boil. When I set the hook, the boil that came up, man, I thought I had an absolute monster. But I am so happy with this fish. 21-1. Absolute gorgeous. Look at the size of the tail. The tail's massive. This is just a big, brutish fish. Really long, hard battle. I'm going to turn it over and show you the other side. The scales are pretty neat there. There's just this row kind of down the middle of the back. Looks really neat. Really nice pinkish, orangish fins. What a fish. And what a way to open my account on this new spot. So now Kevin's caught and I've caught. The work was worth it, and I look forward to seeing what else we get here through the season. I'm going to keep fishing for a while. I don't know if I'm going to film or not, but I'm still here for a couple more hours, so we'll see what happens. This makes me so happy. One last look at this brute. So thick across the back. I thought it was bigger. I'm so happy with that fish. So exciting. I think it's been about a half an hour since I had that fish. I've just been chatting with Will, some of the other UCC reps, and just kind of sort myself out. Line's back out now. So I am fishing again. I just put another spoon of bait out. But yeah, it was quiet, like no beeps, no nothing, no liners, and I was even hoping for just a liner, just to know that something was around my rig. They were rising, so I knew that they were, around the bait. But yeah, I hadn't even had so much as a bump. So what I did is, right under my rod tip, it's about 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep. Maybe even a little bit more than that, because I was just in there with my waders and it was up over my knees. So yeah, we're probably looking at maybe 2.5 feet. But I can see the bottom, just barely. So I put a couple scoops of my mix, like strawberry corn and other particle mixed in there. And I dropped that right below my rod tip, just in the edge there, so that when I was standing there, I would actually be able to see if a fish came in that close and started feeding. I did that, came back here, had some of my tea, and then I just slowly crept out there after about 15-20 minutes, just to see if there's any fish moving around. I knew there was a lot of turtles. That big snapping turtle just keeps bugging me, keeps popping up around me, and he's just a gnarly old bugger. But I was watching the bait that I dropped in the edge, and bait fish were just all over it, minnows everywhere. I probably stood there for about 10 minutes just watching it, and this big swirl to the right happened, and I was just like, oh, okay, so either that's the turtle or maybe there's a carp coming in. And then like a torpedo shot from about 10 feet to the right through and splashed up over the bait, attacking all the minnows. The minnows jumped everywhere. Getting a phone call. Sorry, it's Kevin. He wants to know what's going on. Yeah, minnows jumped everywhere, and it was a pike. Not a huge pike, but good sized pike. I would have loved to have caught it if I was casting lures around. But yeah, this pike just smashed through the minnows. And I was watching that. I was like, so cool. I really wish I had the camera out there with me at the time, but I was really just trying to stay still. Birds were landing on the bulrushes right beside my head, so I had become part of the landscape very quickly, which seems to be the way things are. They don't seem to be bothered by my presence in here at all. But out there, standing by the rod, I was just another tree stump to them. And it couldn't have been 2 minutes after that. I'm watching, and I saw a little painted turtle come in, and I thought he was going to go down and mess around with the bait. And just as I'm watching him, he comes up, he pops his head up, and the rod tip just slams real fast, and I get 2 beeps, and then it just tore off. Yeah, I'm glad I was standing right there, because it was a hard hit. The bank stick leaned right over. And as soon as I set into it, this massive boil came up, and I thought, oh my God, I got a monster. It wasn't a monster by any means, but a 20-pound fish is a big fish. Anywhere you go, a 20-pound fish is a big fish. So I'm more than pleased with that. But the way it fought like a much bigger fish, and probably due to that massive tail. Just slow plodding up and down the creek. It went over to the far margin, came back, got wrapped up in some lily pads. It went under a few sticks. It was a hell of a battle. I got it in the net once, and it jumped out just as I was trying to lift. I couldn't quite lift. I was stuck on some weeds, and it got out of the net, and I ended up having to jump into the water further, kind of standing on that bait that I had put in. So yeah, I was up over my knees there. Luckily I had the waders today, and I was able to get out far enough and lean back far enough for whatever reason, I brought the 12-foot rod today. And yeah, it was so exciting. It went into the net, and I just looked down and I was like, okay, bingo, I've done it. I've had my fish in the marsh now. A 20-pounder to top it all off. It was such an epic battle. So hard fighting. You know, that's one that's going to stick with me. And I'm really looking forward to getting more fish in this spot as time goes on. As I've already mentioned, I'm looking forward to having a few sessions in here with Kevin. You know, maybe even Dave when Dave finally is able to get out and do some fishing. I'm hoping he can join us in here. This is very much a spot that I think he would like. So I have 2 hours left. My line's in. I've just put a bit more bait in. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to give Kevin a call because he was just calling me, and let him know what was going on, give him the good news. And yeah, if I get another fish, great. If it's a monster, I'll turn the camera on. If not, I think we're just wrapping it up here. You know, objective completed. I've had a fish in the marsh. Kevin had one yesterday. This spot is now ready to rock. You know, it's been christened. It's good to go. So I'm looking forward to many more sessions here.